गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We didn't start with the summary, right? We have to start with the summary. Hello? Can't hear.
You already started summary last week.
कहाँ तक किया है? हाँ ओके, यहाँ से हाँ यहाँ तक कंप्लीट कर दिया हमने. नहीं, थोड़ा सा बाकी है. यहाँ तक किया, ठीक है. Okay, so we are in Amrit Anubhav, chapter 5, summary, and basically what is being told here is the truth cannot be revealed by the body, the breath, the senses, the mind, the intellect. It cannot reveal the truth, and all language is only at the gross or the subtle level, and therefore all the words that are used in the scriptures with regards to the truth they are used only not to, they cannot reveal the truth, but all they do is remove the opposite from the mind, because mind is nothing but pairs of opposites. So it was told that if Sat is the Sat Chit Anand words which are used to to indicate the truth, that this is the quality of the truth, that it is existence, consciousness, and bliss. So the seeker is being urged to think in this manner, that the word existence, the thought existence, is used to counteract non-existence. The thought or the word consciousness is used to counteract achit or non-consciousness, and bliss is used to counteract misery and sorrow, because it is the mind which is the culprit. It is the mind which is the obstacle, which is not allowing us to be what we always are. It is not allowing us to recognize what we always are. Even at this moment, it is because this mind is there. And mind works in opposites, and that has become our norm at this moment. So how do we go beyond the opposites? We have to think of something which is able to counteract everything. If you keep thinking of the colors and forms of the world, there is no end to it. There's infinite varieties. Then how do you overcome all the colors and forms? You think of the eyes. That eyes are illuminating all the colors and forms. And the moment you think of the eyes, your attention from the colors and forms has shifted to the eyes which are illuminating the colors and forms. Immediately, the impact of the colors and forms is neutralized. Same way with other senses. Same way with mind. What is mind? Nothing but thoughts. What type of thoughts? Subject and object. Objects are many, subject is one. So, how do we counteract, how do we neutralize the objective thoughts? By some technology has to be employed. See, so today in meditation we stared into blankness. Huh? After some understanding, stared into blankness. बेवकूफ है क्या? हाँ बेवकूफ है. Emptiness is emptiness an object? No. Is there something called nothingness? No. But we stared into it, and as a result, we fall into ourselves. All other thoughts are counteracted by staring into blankness. That's the first stage. Second stage, blankness is not an object. Who is observing the blankness? I am. You don't even have to go through that process. Automatically the self reveals. So this is the process, and the process is put into is pursued only because the mind needs to be settled down. It is not to prove the reality, but it is to pacify, quieten, make silent the mind. And with this, these words, Satchid, Ananda, etc., are used only for mutual cancellation of pairs of opposites. Then nothing is left. That nothing is the zero or shunya in which the mind, intellect, etc., are absorbed, and in which there is no otherness. And this is, I don't know if we did this in the last class, but it has come many times in other while studying Amrut Anubhav and Gita also. And that is, when you are going to sleep, what are you removing from the mind? By focusing on the sleep, all other thoughts are getting neutralized, and yes, and eventually what happens? The mind, intellect, body. What is mind and intellect? That I am the body, that I am the father, the son, the daughter, the brother, the sister. All identity about yourself which the intellect is carrying, all the emotions, desires that the mind is carrying, all the fickleness of the senses that the senses are carrying, all the tiredness that the body is carrying, all this gets absorbed into the sleep. You don't give up each one of them individually. You just focus on the sleep, and everything gets absorbed into it keeps collapsing like a domino. The world collapses into the senses collapse into the mind collapses into the intellect collapses into the sleep. In sleep example, in meditation, exactly the same way, intellect doesn't collapse into the sleep. Intellect, for a devotee, intellect collapses into the total intellect. See, and there's nothing called total intellect. It's just a word we are using for you. Or for a seeker, the intellect collapses into the unmanifest. The unmanifest collapses into the consciousness. Consciousness collapses back into the infinite reality. See? And that is the process. This is called Laya Prakriya. And this is happening to you every day. Consciously it has to be brought about. But it has to be practiced. You have to attempt it. You have to, with understanding, approach it. Our attention must not be, oh yeah, this is too much. How many days more I have to do meditation? It is so tiring. My mind is still so troubling me. It is not allowing me to sleep. It is not allowing me to, the pain in the body, pain there, pain here, so many problems in the world. No, then your attention is on every damn thing in this world. Is our attention on the calmness of the mind? Find, everyone knows how to, for small moments they know how to make the mind calm. Important thing is we have to extend that small moment. Then then uh, mold your lifestyle in such a manner that the mind remains calm. You want mind to be calm, but you want to be engaged in the world, it's not going to be possible. Because the way we are engaging with the world, that way our mind will never become calm. Then what is to be done? How do we engage with the world? With awareness. If you do it with awareness, then yama niyam will be practiced automatically. Yeah, everything is connected. It's the meditation is the ultimate goal. Realization is not even a goal, it is your natural state. Goal is the pacification of the mind. The goal is not realization. Goal is mind without objectivity. Right now, so Satchidanand are also objective words, but they are being used to counteract the other rest of the objectivity. And once that is neutralized, there you are. The means of knowledge as well as the authority have no meaning in the truth. This is very important. Our focus is on the means of knowledge only. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to go to I have to do satsang. We must do satsang. Then why are we continuously doing satsang? It's to keep the world at bay. It's to keep the stimuli at bay. It is to keep the objectivity of the mind at bay. How? By replacing it with thoughts of truth. But that should not become an indulgence of the mind. I have to keep thinking the thoughts of the truth. Then it will become mechanical. Indulgence in the thoughts of truth must lead to zero mind. If that is not taking place, somewhere our approach is going wrong. And zero mind does not mean sleep. Zero mind means with awareness, zero mind. See? So the means of knowledge. Then what about Vivek, Vairagya, Shatka, Sampatti and Moksha? All thrown out of the window. All that is necessary till the mind does not become silent. Till then it is required. Once mind has become silent, after that again you will want to do Vivek, Vairagya. Do you keep saying, once you come to understand as a child, as you are growing up, I am a man, I am a girl, I am a boy, I am a girl. Do you keep repeating, I am a boy, I am a boy, I am a boy? Or do you keep saying, I am not a girl, I am not a girl, I am not a girl? No. Once you have realized, once the mind has become silent, and with the correct methodology you have come to that point, then after that you don't have to fight with the world, you don't have to fight with the thoughts, you don't have to control your senses, you don't have to control your mind. Why? Because you are. Because you are. Now no fall is possible for you. But what do? Why do we feel that we again lost the plot? Because we never reached that. We were still going round and round in the mind. We never came out of the gravity of the mind. We never discovered that mind in essence is the self, is the pure consciousness, is the reality. We never came to that conclusion. It was only intellectual appreciation, and then when a little bit of meditation, but never absorption, never realization. And then again the mind clicks in. The sankalpa of the world, the sankalpa of the meditation, the sankalpa means objectivity, some thought in the mind. It's still there, the seed of it is still there. So the means of knowledge as well as the authority have no meaning. Who is the authority? Authority is the scriptures. They also have got no meaning in realization. Gods, gurus, scriptures, sadhana, practices, control of everything, meditation, all this has got no meaning in realization. Once the wave has realized that it is the infinite waters, will it do any sadhana? Will it do any sadhana? Then why is it doing sadhana? Because it doesn't accept that it is the infinite waters. At any given moment, the wave is infinite water. Wave is only a name and form superimposed on the water. It has accepted itself as the phenomena. It is not accepting itself as the basis, the foundation, the substratum of all phenomena. Once it accepts itself and realizes it, thereafter the phenomena has got no sway over the water. See? Then where is the sadhana? I have to know the water. I have to meditate on water. I have to do japa of water. It's stupidity, isn't it? When you look at it that's exactly what we are doing. But initial stages it is necessary. But if it is not leading to zero mind, all practices are either they will become mechanical or then for such a person the practices have become an indulgence. सुबह उठ के पूजा करना है, जप करना है, सत्संग सुनना है. Like a clockwork it is going on, but no subjective approach. For that, extreme alertness is required every moment of our existence. For that, continuous application, not from the individual standpoint, how I am the total, how I can become one with the total, that is Yoga Marg, but instead how that one alone is expressing as all that there is. Keep thinking in that manner. Keep thinking in that manner. The mind will vanish. The means of knowledge as well as the authority have no meaning in the truth, in which all efforts disappear to such an extent that even the experiencer disappears in the wake of the experience. So who is, just now I said, take the position how the infinite is expressing as all that there is. Who is doing this? Infinite is not doing it. You are doing it. You feel you are individual. You feel you are this body. You feel you are this mind. And you are trying to see it from the angle of the infinite, from the point of view of the infinite or totality. In that attempt, the individuality dissolves. In the attempt to assess the depth of the ocean, the salt doll jumped into the waters. It became one with the infinite ocean. Or the ice cube, wanting to know what is water, jumped into the water, only to find that it is all that there is. It loses its crystallized personality. So when will our crystallization, what is our crystallization? Individuality is crystallization. Ego is the crystallization. Where is all this individuality and ego? Two words, same thing, in the mind. Wherever there is objectivity, wherever there is duality, which is mind, there alone crystallization is. Crystallization of personality, the crystallization of I. So, how do you dissolve this crystallization of the I, which is holding on to so many different experiences, things, limbs, senses, mind, thoughts, etc., etc., emotions, past, future, birth, death, God, realization, everything it is holding on to. And it has, then I has become strong. So only when this I is made to think, hey, you are all that there is. There is no I is used to thinking objectively. Now the I is being prodded to think subjectively. You are everything. How am I everything? I am everything. Everything is this world. Arey baap re, kaise? But oh, think, contemplating in this manner, this is called that ice cube jumping into the water to find its depth. And that's exactly what is happening when you're going to sleep. The I is it doesn't know what sleep is, yet it jumps into the sleep by thinking of sleep and becomes refreshed temporarily. Without understanding, jumping into the self in meditation, temporary refreshment. Oh, that was very nice, this, that. But we are not looking for temporary. We want permanent. We are seeking permanent realization, not temporary. For that, the understanding, you have to go with understanding. You have to go with clarity. You have to fine tune your approach. Somewhere at the last moment, the objectivity is still maintained. You are going into absorption, but coming out again into that objectivity, because the seed of objectivity is still there in the mind. In which all efforts disappear to such an extent that even the experiencer, once the I, the crystallized I, has disappeared, the experiencer is gone. Experiencer is the subject, experienced is the object. And what is the experiencer seeking? The experiencer is seeking the experiencer through thoughts. I am that. It is I seeking I by way of thought. This is the problem. Why? Because of habit. Mind only thinks that way. Till it does not dawn on the I that this is a foolish approach. Or then it is all over. Or it continues to seek this with clear understanding that I am making this approach, that Aham Brahmasmi, for example, only to counteract the entire objectivity. And when that has been countered, when the objectivity means the other thoughts, desires, world is not able to influence the mind anymore, then Aham Brahmasmi also will dissolve. This is the technology. Once it's dissolved, then there is no technology, then there is no meditation, then there is no world, then what is there? Only the self is there, only the truth is there. And where there is truth, there is no experiencer. How can experience remain by himself? Experiencer is, the I is called experiencer only if there is an experienced. But when there is nothing to experience, there is no experiencer also. Experience also dies away. This ER, experiencer, knower, seer, this ER is the crystallization. That crystallization is because of duality. Experiencer, experiencing the experienced. When all objectivity is neutralized, meaning no experienced is making an impact on the experiencer, is not allowed to. Why? The experiencer is not thinking of the experienced. It's the experiencer, the I, is thinking of I. The I thought also will dissolve. And that is, unless words are, where are we? In the, so experiencer disappears. To keep on insisting that I am Sat Chit Ananda only means that one is still at the thought level, that words still have value. Words have no strength to exist in the absolute truth. Unless words are devalued, one cannot transcend them. Unless words are devalued. When I had a very clear, we all practice this on a daily basis, devaluing the words. Someone barks at you, you devalue. Sometime before you used to used to react. Now you devalue. Kutta hai, bhul jao. Nature is to bark. Let the dog bark. How does it affect me? Before, if that dog barked, you also barked. You also became a dog. Now, let the dog bark. Devalued. When doubts come in your mind about something, you devalue it. No. I have to do it this way. When you are driving, the mind says, oh, go this way. No. This is the better way. And eventually you follow. You devalue that doubt. Is this the road or that the road? You made a decision. Eating food, should I eat one more idli? No, you devalued. Oh, bahut ho gaya yaar. You did not give it value. You did not. By thinking the higher, there are two ways you can devalue something. One is by finding the fault in what you are interested in. Mind is interested. So, as a sannyasi, okay, I want to buy a new car. अरे क्या करना है यार कार खरीद के? I'm talking about how you are devaluing. So the desire is I want to buy a car. क्या करना है कार खरीद के? Then I have to pay the insurance. Then I have to pay the servicing. Then I have to pay the maintain the car. In everything, the cost will be more. Where will I get so much money? Okay, someone gives me the money, I will buy, but who will maintain it? Where will that all that funds come from? So what I am finding, yeah, car is good, but I am giving it zero value. I am finding the fault in that desire to get caught up in the thought of a new car. This is one way. Same way with the body. This is also a car. What is body? Whole life I have been living for the body only. How do I devalue the body? Arey, it's not only my body. Everyone has a body. And what is body? Body is inert. Where did it come from? Someone else produced it. Foolishly, I am calling it my own. The nature of the body is birth, growth, disease, decay, and death. It can never remain healthy all the time. Unnecessarily, I am worried. When it is not good, okay, let's take it to the mechanic and get it fixed. But to continuously, day in and day out, keep thinking of the body, my body, poor body, sick body, I have to cater to the body, I have to think of the body, I have to nourish the body. पागल है क्या? You never spend so much time thinking I am the consciousness as much as you spent thinking that I am the body. Isn't it? So you find the fault. This is the nature of the body. So it's not worthy of reflection. It's not worthy of giving attention. Find fault. This is called dosha bhavana. We are good at finding faults of others, no? Find fault in everything, not only the world. This is one way of negating the impact of the world. Find fault in the world, find fault with the body, find fault with the breath, find fault with the mind, find fault with the thoughts, find fault with meditation also, find fault with God also. If I go after God, I will still remain in the total creation. I want to get out of this creation. That is self-realization. So, use fault-finding habit in the right manner, then it will help you. This is one way. Okay. But if you keep finding fault and yes, that is not disturbing you, how long? Only as long as you are alert about it. Now you have to replace. The second method is you think of the higher, and as you think of the higher, that which is lower stops having an impact on us. We wean away from that. No child wants to remain a child. He wears grown-up slippers, he wears grown-up shoes, he wants to learn to walk, he wants to sit on the chair, he wants to ride a bicycle, he wants to ride a scooter, he wants to ride a car, truck. Huh? But you never see a growing child, even a 10, 12, 15, 20 years old. No, I want to be a child again. I want to stop walking. I want to stop eating. I want to stop changing clothes. I want to stop everything. You will not find anyone. Isn't it? But that's exactly people are doing. Instead of moving forward towards expansion, towards infinity, they are again and again going backwards and getting attached to the past, to the body, to the mind, to the fears, to the ignorance, to the a child has got no time to think how many times he has fallen. He continuously thinks only of one thing: how can I run? How can I walk? And that also is happening. But there is no doubt in him that he is not going to walk. Continuously forward looking. Are we continuously, day in and day out, 24/7, forward looking how I am consciousness at this given moment? or we find excuses to crystallize as Gaunatma, Mithyatma. We crystallize. We look downwards. We are not looking upwards. So this extreme alert, this alertness is the price that we have to pay. That's all. This alertness will not come by doing the gym of yoga. This alertness will not come by pranayama. Either you are alert or you are not. Simple as that. You cannot try to be alert. That's foolishness. Then we remain in the cycle. That's what everyone is trying to do. Remain alert for 15 minutes. No, alertness 24/7. Towards that higher, like that child. So two ways. Either by finding fault, we develop vairagya, or by viveka. Vivek, what is real and unreal. By vivek, we develop vairagya. Both feed. The more vairagya, the fault finding is at a very gross level because we don't know what to do next. So we find fault. When mind has become a little bit quiet as a result of fault finding, now you don't want to get into depression after, arey yaar, all this world is meaningless, so what do I do? Chalo, daru piyo. Chalo, let's go on to drugs. No, that is not the way. Don't lose. We have not found, and this is natural. In every teenager it happens. In every teenager it happens. That they find that this, especially from 19 to 20, 21, 22, that is the age. That we find, oh my God, I have to live like my parents lived for the rest of the life. My God, how hard they are working, how hard they are, whole day they are, I don't even contribute as much, but they are earning money, cooking food, cleaning the house, servicing the car, maintaining the bank balances, paying the loan. Oh my God, it is so daunting for that teenager that this is the life that I have to live. What is he doing? He is finding fault with the life. It is a good direction of thinking, but it must lead to positive. It must lead to abidance. But what happens in majority? They get into depression. Then they start drinking drugs, etc. That is not the direction that we need to go. It must lead to viveka. Finding fault with the inefficacy of the world must lead to viveka. Viveka is real versus unreal. So, oh yeah, that is true. Whole world, it is not worth it to pursue. Then what is worthy of pursuit? That which is unchanging. This knowledge, this education is not given in the schools. Even parents don't give this education to their children. They only give, hey, become a doctor, become an engineer, become a chartered accountant. उसके अलावा दुनिया में कुछ है ही नहीं क्या? Because they don't know anything better. So, vairagya, disinterest in the world, devaluing the world. At the first, we devalue the physical world, we come to the mental world. We devalue the mental world, we come to the real, the pure consciousness. 3 steps. Just like Bhutakash, we devalue, we come to Chittakash. Devalue Chittakash, we come to Chidakash. Story over. Don't create extra steps. Keep it simple. But you will keep it simple and you will move in that direction if you are always aware that this is the direction that I have to move. We listen to one lecture, I must go to Chidakash, I am the self. And the moment lecture finishes, again we are involved in something or the other in the world without awareness. So that is what is told here. To keep on insisting that I am Sat Chit Ananda only means that one is still at the thought level. We are Sat, I am Satchidananda without a thought means like you are not thinking you are the body all the time. It's a thought free realization that you are the body. It's just an example, okay? But you are not repeating again and again, I am the body, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the mind, I am breathing, I am breathing, I am breathing. Ore baapre, I forgot to breathe. I have to keep repeating. I am breathing, I am breathing. ऐसे नहीं है ना, it's automatic. To that extent, we don't have to keep repeating. We are repeating only because we have not realized it. So realize it in one go. एक बार काम खत्म कर दो पूरा, उसके बाद मस्ती में रहो. That words still have value. Words have no strength to exist in the absolute truth. The truth is beyond words. The truth is beyond mind. Words are nothing but grossified thoughts, and thoughts are in the mind. So at a subtle level it is called thoughts. Thoughts when expressed are called as words. So karma, when we say manasa vacha kaya, karma, activity, the physical activity, kaya, the speech is also gross. So what is the source? They are only the effects. What is the source? Where is the karma beginning from? It is not beginning from body or speech. It is beginning from mind. Because there is thought, therefore there is speech. Because there is thought, therefore there is physical activity. If there is no thought, there is no speech, there is no physical activity, then there is only consciousness. This is realization we are talking. Abidance. So whole name of the game is quieten your mind. Quieten your mind. Under any sets of circumstances in life, quieten your mind. Our daily approach should be that has my mind become calmer? Every night when you go to sleep, assess, is my mind calmer than yesterday? Swami used to say, introspect, detect, negate and grow. Introspect the day. Were you aware all day? Did you slip up? So second step is detect. Detect where you were less than what you want to be. What do you want to be? You are pure consciousness. Somewhere you got angry, somewhere you desired, somewhere you indulged. And all this is, if you are only at the worldly level, that is how you will think. But if you are at a very alert level, then for you, the mistake that you have made is, oh my God, there I took ownership. Oh, there I took ownership. Oh, there I reacted. There I caught the anger before it even expressed. This type of detections will start happening. That also needs to subside. For a very unprepared fellow, that person screamed at me. Oh my God, I lost the plot. I screamed at that person. For a little bit more consciousness, you become aware of your own shortcomings in the mind that you objectified, that you are still thinking. Unless words are devalued, one cannot transcend them. Words have to be devalued, meaning the mind has to be devalued. What is mind? Objectivity. What is mind? Duality. Subject and object duality. And you have to rediscover. Forget, I'm just using these words that you have to. You are, when you say I am, it is only in the mind only. But when mind is devalued, mind is nothing but pure consciousness. It is the truth, it is the reality, which is one without a second. In this way, the chapter explains how the ment, how the mind transcends, the ment transcends the meaning of the word Satchidananda, preparing ground for the theme of the next chapter, namely how words are to be devalued. So here also the hollowness, in 5th chapter it was why words like Satchidananda, Ekameva Dvitiya, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, Tattvamasi, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupa, etc. Why these words are used? They are only used to counteract the opposite. Now, what is the technology of devaluing the words? That will be told in the Shabda Khandana in the next chapter. See, whether you have observed it or not, if you have never observed it on a regular basis, when I say what I'm going to say now, you will say, yeah, I know that. But are you consciously, continuously aware of it? On a daily basis, on a 24-hourly basis, every day, you begin with zero thoughts, you cultivate more and more thoughts, your mind, and eventually, naturally, the mind again becomes zero thoughts, which is sleep, isn't it? Every day it is taking place. Are you conscious of this process? That every day concludes in zero mind? Are you aware? Or you just say, chalo bhai neend aa rahi hai, chalo so gaye. That is not being conscious. That is being ignorant. Are you observing the pattern, the natural phenomena? That everything that comes into existence goes into non-existence. The mind became active. At night, the mind becomes inactive. The mind becomes multi-pointed. At night, the mind becomes zero-pointed. It is, whether you like it or not, it's happening. Whether you like it or not, it is happening. Are you able to take advantage of this phenomena? Or are you caught up in the phenomena? Scriptures are not saying something that is outside your experience that is going on. Every aspect of your life is made into an example, has been keenly observed by the rishis and munis. In this case here, Jnaneshwar Maharaj, the young saint. It's a keen observation. So what is lacking Within us, this keen observation is lacking. Okay, for that you came to satsang, now you are listening how to be keenly observing, how to change your approach towards the mind, not towards the world, towards the mind. World is only a thought in a mind. But then apply. We must feel blessed that we are exposed to this knowledge. We must feel blessed that Jnaneshwar Maharaj has come into our life. We must feel blessed that the divine has given us this understanding to even be aware of this phenomena that mind becomes active, mind becomes inactive at night. How many people will have observed that? See? So where this blessing is there, where this surrender is there, where automatically, if appreciation is there to this, reverence is there towards this, towards the satsang, towards the words of the masters, then automatically our attention will always be on that on in which they are abiding, on their words. But our reverence is where? Our reverence is on the world. Our reverence is on the body and its pains and its diseases. Our reverence is on the collection of memories as the album, videos, indulging in them, thinking about them again and again. When my child was like that, when my mother or daughter was like that. Enough, man. This enough hasn't come. So our reverence is towards the world, our reverence is towards the body, our reverence is towards our relations and possessions. How can our attention shift to the reverence of God or reverence of the infinite truth? Because our reverence is towards relations and possessions, we use God, we use satsang, we use the auspiciousness to be encashed for the world, for the relationship, for the possessions. See? This is the human mind. It is nothing about you who are listening or me who is talking. It is this is how the human mind functions. Catch it. Are we falling into that trap of encashing the divine to get to improve our physicality, to improve our lifestyle, to improve our world, to improve our mind? Or are we contemplating on the divine to realize that we are the divine, to merge into the divine? Only you can answer that question. रोज सुबह दिया लगाते हो, अगरबत्ती लगाते हो, इंसेंस स्टिक, लैम्प, conch, chanting, whatever some of you I know who are doing it, chanting of Ramayana or some mantra or Hanuman Chalisa. Is it out of rote, out of just like a parrot is repeating, you are repeating? Is it because, oh, Hanuman Chalisa, I do for last 30 years I've been doing Hanuman Chalisa every morning. There is, after Hanuman Chalisa, the house feels prasanna, house cannot feel prasanna, house is inert. No, there is nice vibration, they're going the wrong way. We are talking in this language because we are what we are studying. At a gross level, it may be okay, but here you are on the experience of Amrita, immortality. For that, when you are contemplating on the self, all this has got no meaning. Vibration, auspiciousness, all this has got no meaning at the physical level. Even at the mental level, it has got no meaning. One must discard it. One must find fault with it and make it zero in your mind. See? So, is our interaction, is our idea of God, is our idea of reality to encash greatness in the world, to satisfy desires in the world, or our thinking of reality, interaction with reality or God, to merge into it? Correct this within yourself. Correct this within yourself. Because only each individual knows where they are. We have not even accepted that the whole world is in our mind by way of thoughts. This also we have not accepted. So, first step, this fifth chapter was first accept that. Then negate it, neutralize it. Only thoughts can neutralize the thoughts. So, if the thoughts of the world are there in our mind, use other thoughts of the world to neutralize the thoughts of the world, unwanted thoughts of the world. See? So, first the principle was told. That is why we do satsangs. That is why we do japa. To neutralize, to counteract the thoughts of the world. But now, even the thought of the world, now another way, even the thought of the world, of the reality, thought of the God, God's name, sometimes that we fall in love with the name of the Lord. We fall in love with Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. We have to devalue that also. Devaluing means that Ram, Krishna, we are talking from this, we are not talking of devotion here, we are talking about Amrit Anubhav. So even Ram, Krishna, Aham Brahmasmi, Ayam Atma Brahma, yes, they indicate, these words are saying, I am the infinite, I am the Brahman, I am the pure consciousness, etc., etc. Even these words, but in the end they are only thoughts, no? These thoughts also need to be devalued. How they need to be devalued will be the subject matter of the next chapter. If they are not devalued, we'll remain a seeker. Merging will not happen. Realization will not happen. If the devaluation of the thought called sleep does not take place, sleep will not begin. Absorption of the mind into the sleep will not take place. Correct? This is your experience, no? Every day. So what is devaluation here? How did you devalue the thought of sleep? You clearly know, even before going to sleep, that thinking of sleep is not equal to sleep. This you know, isn't it? You know that the sleep which the word sleep indicates is beyond the word. Thought of sleep is not equal to the experience of sleep. You know that. This is devaluation. And therefore, because it has got so deep into your mind, into your psyche, that thought sleep is not equal to sleep, therefore you are ready to let go of the thought of sleep which you used, I am sleepy, I am sleepy, I am sleepy, to counteract the thoughts of the world. But you didn't hold on to the thought of sleep, because somewhere deep inside you know that thought of sleep is not equal to sleep. As a seeker, the thought of sleep also begins, stays, and concludes. Brahmasmi also has a beginning, it is maintained for some time, then it dies away. Then again Brahmasmi, or just Ram. Ram came, stayed, went away, then Ram. So it is only, it is not a permanent state. It is one thought, but it is repeating again and again and again and again. Why is it repeating? Because we are addicted to the name Ram. We need to devalue. How do you devalue? Either a devotee, he will look at Ram, oh, I want to go to Saket, I want to merge into Ram. How is in Bhagavad, what is the exercise given? That you look at the Lord, the Chaturbhuj Narayana, you look at him, either you look at his two lips, either you look at his two eyes, or you look at his 2 feet. Duality, no? 2 eyes, duality, right, left. Where do you put your attention? Between the 2 eyes. 2 lips, upper lip, lower lip, duality. Where do you put attention? At the joining of the 2 lips. His lips are never like this closed. There's always a slight gap between the 2 lips in the middle. You keep attention, he will suck you in. Or right foot and left foot, you put your attention where between the 2 feet. You go beyond the form. This sadhana is, this meditation is given in Bhagavad. How to go beyond the form. How to realize the Lord Narayana in essence, not only as form. See? So as long as there is form, as long as there is upper lip, lower lip, thought will be there. As long as there is right eye, left eye, thought will be there in your mind. Where there is thought, you need to focus somewhere. So wherever there is Aham Brahmasmi, thought will be there, your focus is there. You want to go beyond focus. You want to go, and to go beyond focus, beyond thought is to go beyond focus, beyond single point. Single pointedness, focus, concentration is of the mind. It requires effort. Maximum effort in dharana, less effort in dhyan, even less effort in samadhi. But they are still temporary experiences, they are not permanent. They are not permanent. So how do I go beyond? That you have to find out. You have to devalue Ram, you have to devalue Krishna. We are not saying the pure consciousness, we are talking about the thought. We have to devalue I, how I am, in even if there is no I thought. What does it, what type of, so your whole understanding about yourself and the mind has to be crystal clear. Then only you will be able to devalue the thoughts. Otherwise, you will not. See? How do you devalue? You are standing in front of your wife. The husband comes out. How do you devalue the husband and be the father the next moment? How? Find out what is the technology that you employ in your mind, in your attention, in your value giving, that at one moment you are the husband, and in an instant you are able to drop the husband and be the father. How? How are you able to devalue the husband and give value to the father hat, the father personality? And you keep shifting between all the various roles. Cut, no sadhana required. Isn't it? So technology you have. You are practicing it in your life. You have to employ in your meditation, in your contemplation, with regards to the thoughts. Technology you have. You know how to devalue also, but it is not being employed in the right area. It has not been thought through. And therefore, you're only living at default level. So with this, we have concluded our 5th chapter, Satchidananda Padatrayi Vivarna. And now next class will begin with Shabda Khandana, words devalued. A little bit I talked about from my understanding. But what Jnaneshwar Maharaj is going to speak and what Anuvananji is going to comment on it, we will reflect on it in our next class. I think we'll conclude it here today, a little bit early, but how does it matter? And begin the next chapter in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.